You seriously couldn't believe you were crying in front of him? Of all people, Shango, your super icy professor. Like who even thought it would end up like this? He was just standing there, arms crossed, staring at you like you were some bug under a microscope. I told you to write it a million times, Ryan, not just once, a million times. Why are we even having this convo? You tried to hold back the tears, but they were still slipping down your cheeks. You hated yourself for it. You hated that you let your frustration take over. But when he scolded you about that damn assignment, something just snapped. And then, yeah, you did scratch his car. It was dumb. You knew it was dumb, but you couldn't take it back now. I'm sorry. You wanted to say more, wanted to explain, but your throat felt tight. You felt small, pathetic. But he wasn't having it at all. His eyes didn't soften. If anything, he looked even more annoyed. Sorry doesn't fix the scratch, Ryan. You think I want to see you crying over this? Do you think this is easy for me? His voice wasn't loud, but it hit harder than any shout could. You bit your lip trying not to break down. Of course, it wasn't easy for him. You messed up his car, ruined his day, everything. And now you were the one left to deal with the fallout. You didn't expect him to baby you, but seriously, you just wanted him to show a little understanding. You hated it, hated how you felt like you couldn't fix it, like you were just messing everything up and you couldn't stop. Now start writing. I'm sorry for ruining your car, and I repeat a million times. You didn't even know how you were gonna survive doing it 100 times, let alone a million. I can't go home today if I start writing that right now. It's already 5, sir. Please can you make it 100? I'm begging you, please. He looked at you like he was considering it. His face was still all serious, but you could see his brain ticking, trying to figure out if he should just let you off easy. You think this is about you, Ryan? I didn't scold you just for fun. You totally ghosted on your assignment after 2 extensions, and in a fit of rage, you went all Picasso on my car. He let out a sigh and shook his head, clearly frustrated. This punishment, writing it 100 times, that's nothing compared to how much I'm gonna have to spend fixing my car. You just kind of nodded, feeling like a total dork. But he let out this big old sigh and raked his fingers through his hair like he was trying to untangle a mess. All right, fine, 100 times. Just write it down, slap it on my desk, and like, get out of here. You are totally at a loss for words. Honestly, you were just relieved he didn't make you write it a million times. You nodded super fast, wiped those tears off your cheeks, and popped up like a jack in the box. And make sure it's legit. No more excuses, okay? You nodded again, feeling a little better. At least this nightmare was almost over. After making sure he was gone, you took a deep breath and the tension in your body started to chill out. You wiped your face one last time, feeling your embarrassment cool down like a hot pizza left out too long. Who does this Jew think he is coming at me a million times? Seriously, is he a beat up rat worth all this drama? Okay, maybe I messed up a little, but 100 apologies, like, sure, that's just how. Wait, did I actually shed tears over this? You chuckled a bit, but it had the salty vibe. It's kinda crazy to think you were all freaked out by him for ages. Now, when you look back, it's like, how did this turn from the absolute worst day ever to something you can almost giggle about? Like, what even? Whatever. He's just a professor and you're still gonna pass his class. That thought gave you a little boost like you would tackle this mess with some actual confidence. You grabbed the paper, picked up the pen, and started writing the first of 100 apologies, ready to get this over and maybe even find a way to laugh about it later. You took a step towards the door, but then got totally startled when your mom came running out of nowhere. Where were you? You froze for a second, quickly threw out an excuse. I had an assignment to submit. She gave you this look, but then nodded. So you finally made it back. You remember Mr. John, right? He was Dad's best bud and our neighbor when you were just a tiny tot. You probably don't recall them though. They moved to Canada but just got back yesterday. So what? You know him 'cause your dad always talks about him. Yeah, he's here with his family. We were about to just brush it off and go inside. So what? Just take them out for a nice dinner and they'll be happy. You were ready to drop it, but your mom stopped you. Look, I didn't come here to get your advice. I came to give you some. You frowned, feeling annoyed. What? Just don't say anything dumb around them. Mr. John's got a son and he's here too. He came back from Canada a year ago and is teaching at a college here. You rolled your eyes super frustrated. Why are you telling me this like it even matters to me? Your mom let out a big sigh, giving you that look like she was about to snap. Seriously? Can you just chill for a sec? You'll get it later. You rubbed your forehead, feeling a headache coming on. So, what do you want me to do? Just act nice or something? Yeah, just show some respect. That's all I'm asking for. You rolled your eyes but nodded. Okay, done. You tossed your bag onto the stand nearby, hearing the soft thud as you walked towards the guests. Mr. and Mrs. John were sitting on the couch facing you. As soon as you saw them, a big smile spread across your face, even though you couldn't remember if you had seen them before. But you didn't let that stop you, just acted like you did. Their son was sitting on the couch behind them, his back turned. You could see only the top of his head, but something about it felt really familiar. You brushed it off, though, figuring it wasn't a big deal. You walked over to Mr. and Mrs. John, bowing your head slightly in respect as you greeted them. And your uncle, auntie, I have been waiting to see you. Dad just won't stop talking about you. You flashed them a smile, feeling a little shy but excited at the same time. I go, look at you all grown up, she said, standing up to pull you into a warm hug. Such a beautiful young lady now, he added, shaking your hand with a smile. Cook is here too. Remember him? He was your only playmate when you were a baby. You'll be surprised. You frowned, your whole face crunching up in confusion. Why should I be surprised? You thought. Is he from another planet or something? You couldn't help but roll your eyes internally. Just then their son turned towards you. You looked at him and suddenly you felt like you wanted to disappear. Like seriously? Dig a hole and just bury yourself? No way. Your mind was still trying to catch up, but your body was already ahead of you, sprinting towards the door. It was none other than your cold professor, the one you couldn't stand, the guy whose car you scratched, and the same one who made you write 100 apologies, the ones you just barely finished writing. You seriously couldn't believe it. Before you could bolt out of the door, your mom caught by your arm, pulling you back. Where are you going? Come inside. Mr. and Mrs. John looked just as confused, both of them staring at you, clearly worried. Is everything okay? You glanced at your professor, Mr. Jumbo, sitting there like he was completely unpleased, like he had expected this whole reaction from you. His face was totally blank, like he didn't even care that you were freaking out. Maybe she wasn't expecting him here. I didn't tell her her professor and your son are the same person. Thus, this surprise was a little much for her. Mr. John gave a small laugh but raised an eyebrow at Jumbo. Jumbo, you could have told her earlier. Thought I'd give her a surprise. Surprise? This isn't a surprise. This is what's called a mental shock. You looked at your mom like she had just told you the world was flat. You seriously didn't think this was important to mention? Well, I figured it would be fun. A little surprise for you. You couldn't help but blink a couple of times like your mom had just knocked you out with a brick. Fun? This isn't fun, Mom. This is scary. You didn't think it was important to mention that Dad's friend's son is my professor? I go, sweetheart, we didn't mean to throw you off like that. Oh, my dear daughter, we all thought it'd be fun to surprise, but it looks like it ended up as more of a shock for you, huh? Anyway, we are sorry for that. Come sit here. We have got something important to discuss. You sigh and walk over to the couch sitting next to your dad. Then Mr. John looks at Jungkook and says, Jungkook, come sit with us. He gets up and as he walks over, his eyes immediately find you. It's like, oh my god, the way he looks at you. It feels like he's studying you with laser focus. You try not to look at him and quickly glance away. You are thinking, how are you so smart and fearless when he's not around? But the second he's there, you're just a nervous wreck. You hate how he can make you feel like that. He sits down next to Mr. John and he barely glances at you, but you can feel his eyes on you like he's waiting for you to break. And it's not just uncomfortable, it's impossible to act normal around him now. You're suddenly so aware of everything. Every little move you make feel like it's been watched. Your dad clears his throat, pulling you out of your thoughts. So one, Mr. John has been my friend still since childhood. Even after he moved to Canada, we have kept that bond strong. Your dad keeps going, but you can barely process what he's saying because your mind is still stuck on Shango. But to add a little more sweetness to this bond, we have made a decision. He looks at you, then at Mr. John, and back at you. We decided to marry you to Django. For a split second, your world just stops, your brain completely freezes, and you swear you hear the loudest ring in your ears. You can't even blink. Did he just say marry you to Django? Did your dad just casually drop that bomb like it was no big deal? You glance at Jungkook, who's sitting there like he didn't just hear your whole life shift. He's still cool, calm, and collected like nothing out of the ordinary just happened. You wanted to scream, but all that comes is a strangled gasp. What? You managed to shock out, looking from your dad to Mr. Jin and then back to Jungkook, who's still looking at you with that unsettling calmness. You heard me? You think it's a good idea. You two are already close with Jungkook being your professor and all. It just makes sense. What closeness? What are they even talking about? You can't help but think, do they seriously know how not close you and Jungkook are? Does your dad know how many times Jungkook has caught you in the middle of doing something dumb and then scolded you for it? Does he know how you had to write 100 apologies just because you scratched his car? And the worst part, he never even noticed the biggest mess up you made, stealing his ID proof. Closeness, more like constant mistakes and tension, honestly. You have probably messed up a million times in front of him. You can't even say half of what you're thinking because honestly, it would just make everything worse. If you said what was really on your mind, it would be like digging your own hole, just burying yourself deeper. How did you even end up here? You just wanted to survive the semester, not end up getting married to a professor because your parents thought it was a good idea. This is crazy. You try to steady your breathing, but your heart is still hammering in your chest. You know you can't say all the things that are running through your mind right now, but you have to say something. Dad, I'm sorry to say, but did you even think about how will he think of this? He's my professor and I'm a student. Do you really think he would even consider this? I mean, he's probably never thought of me like that, and even if he did, he has been brought up and studied in Canada. I'm just here in college, barely trying to get by. I don't even know if I'm gonna pass, honestly. So why would you make this decision for us? Your dad just keeps stroking your hair, and even though it's supposed to be comforting, you're not sure anymore. Sweetheart, Shanguk's already agreed to this. You don't gotta worry about it. We have always done what's best for you, and this is the best thing for you. He's a good guy and he'll take care of you. This is what's meant to be, and you just gotta trust it. You hold on to his hand tighter, feeling dizzy all of a sudden, like everything's spinning. Punishments for the rest of my life. Take care of me, more like make my life a living hell with his constant criticism. When you glance over at Jungkook, hoping to find some sign that he doesn't agree with this whole thing, but when you see his face, it's like he's telling you to wait and see, like he's already made up his mind, like this is something you just have to accept. Your marriage with an iceberg? No, fine, I'm not going to agree to this. She shakes her head as if trying to make sense of what you're saying, but it just doesn't add up for her. You cross your arms and sigh, feeling frustrated. Who even asked for your consent, though? You snap a little, but it's more about being confused than mad. Did they ask for your consent? Did they? She throws her hands up in the air, pacing for a second. It's like they just shoved the decision down your throat, right? Like they didn't even care what you think or feel. You just have to go along with it. You're not feeling that all too familiar knot in your stomach. Yeah, pretty much, but I can't just say no to them. They have never made me cry, you know. They have given me everything I have ever wanted. They have always supported me. How can I say no now, especially when it's all about their happiness? Wine, you gotta stop thinking like that. I'm not okay with this. No way. You can't just go along with it just because they have done stuff for you. You gotta think about yourself too. Your happiness matters, okay? Or are you low-key in love with him? What? How dare you, Lucy? You practically yelled caught off guard. I mean, you're talking like you're ready to sacrifice your life for him. That means, now girl, he's that kind of serious moron who doesn't know what love is. I can see it in his eyes. He's so far from love. Dude ain't about that. He won't ever be into it. Iceberg? Serious moron? Did she just call me that? He couldn't believe it. Did she honestly think he was just some cold-hearted jerk who couldn't care? Did you see that in my eyes that I'm far away from love? Really, mine? I wonder how can you forget all the countless times you have messed up? How is it that all my scolding, all my concerns are somehow the only force that matter? Wait, man, you're gonna end up in my hands whether you like it or not. Seriously, you're such a naughty girl, and I think it's time for some punishment. I can't let you get away with all that mischief you have been pulled out lately. Just wait until you see the punishments I have in store for you. You left from there and you continued your chat with Lucy, not knowing the important points have already reached his ears. You can't really go against your parents, can you? So, like, what are we supposed to do about this? It feels like we're totally trapped, right? I'm thinking about just going straight to him and talking out. You know, I have got a good knack of begging. I remember last time I went from a million apologies down to just 100. So I'm gonna plead with him to say no to this whole marriage thing. Wait, you're seriously gonna beg him? That's kind of gutsy. But like, do you honestly think he'll actually listen to you? If that's the only way to stop this from going down, then I'm all in. I'll put my heart into it, no doubt. Where the hell is he? Every time I didn't want to see him, he would pop out of nowhere. But now when I actually need to talk to him, nothing. He's not showing up to class, his phone's off. Like what the hell? Where the fuck did he go? You overheard your parents saying this marriage has to happen first because Mr. John wants to go back to Canada. And to make it worse, you haven't seen your iceberg in the last 2 days. That's not even reachable. You don't care where he is, honestly. Frustrated, you throw your phone on the bed and collapse beside it. You close your eyes for a second, trying to clear your head, but then it hits you. Wait, what if you just go to his house and check? Maybe he's sick or something, fever or maybe something else. Who cares? You don't have time to sit here and wonder. You just bounce out of bed and you strut out of your room. Your mission to head over to your professor's super chilly igloo, which is basically like the coldest place ever. You have no idea how you ended up here doing all this silly stuff. Like, seriously, you're on his balcony right now. You climbed up just to see him. But hey, there's a reason for it, right? You rang the doorbell and knocked, but it's totally quiet. You're just standing there feeling super dumb, but you can't help but want to see him. So without thinking much, you just go for it. You slide through the window and land in his room. Yeah, it's a little nuts, but at this point, you're not even questioning it. It's like you can't stop yourself. The place is cold and empty just like him. You decide to plop down on the bed nearby and wait, but before you can even get comfy, you hear a door click shut, making you freeze. Oh, I didn't see that coming. The dim light in the room flickers and then suddenly gets super bright, almost blinding you for a sec. You blink a few times to get your eyes used to it, and then you spot him, your professor, standing right there in the doorway. His hand is still on the light regulator, and he's just staring at you like he didn't even blink when he saw you sitting in his room uninvited. It's like he's not surprised, just waiting. Without saying a word, he grabs a remote from the stand nearby, presses a button, and the glass window slams shut with a hiss, locking into place. The sudden noise sends a chill down your spine, and for a moment the room feels even colder. What makes you gulp, though, is the fact that he's just wearing a towel around his waist. A towel. He sets the remote back down, casually drying his hair with his hand, then walks over to the wardrobe like it's no big deal. Won't allow me to bath properly? He asked as he begins to pull open the wardrobe doors. Then, with no warning, he adds, if you don't mind, please close your eyes. I'm going to change. You freeze. What the hell? His hand touches the towel around his face, and that's all it takes for you to snap into panic mode. Your hand flies to your face as he immediately covers your eyes, turning your body away from him. What the heck is happening? Please, God, make it all a dream. You hope to wake up any second now, but nothing changes. I was out of the city. The college director assigned me some work, just got back. Was in the middle of taking a shower when you kept knocking and ringing the bell. What's this wine? You were that eager to see me? Your breath catches in your throat and you stutter. There is no one else here. You don't know why the question escapes your lips, but it does. You're lucky one. There is no one else here. That's great. Wait, what? Your hands start shaking, your palms sweating, unsure of what the hell you just walked into. Mom and Dad went for a business dinner. They won't be back anytime soon. We have got plenty of time. Now turn around. You slowly turn around and nervously force a laugh, trying to mask the rising fear, to which he gave a smile back almost mockingly. I'm sorry, Professor. He looks at you with a slight smirk, not even fazed by your awkwardness. Call me Shango or Cook, that's enough. He says casually, grabbing a bottle of water from the nearby counter and taking a sip like this is all just a regular conversation. Whatever, I'll even call you Goat. Just please don't scold me for this. I mean, I really wanted to see you and do take seriously the thing I'm going to talk to you about. Of course, I'll take it seriously. You yourself know that I'm a serious moron. He emphasizes that word serious moron, making you realize with a jolt that he has heard what you said about him. He slowly takes a step towards you as you instinctively takes a step back, but before you know it, you hit the wall. He's right there now, his arms caging you in, trapping you between them. Say it to my face. I'm right in front of you. You shiver under his gaze, feeling the tension in your spine. I'm sorry, I won't repeat it. Just listen to what I have to say. I'm listening. Come on, tell me anything. Anything except asking me not to marry you. You blink, taken aback. Your eyes snap to his, your mouth opening and closing in shock because, well, that's exactly what you wanted to say. But you can't get the words out. What? You want to talk about that? You nervously nodded, making him lean in a bit closer. Why whine? It should be me taking such a decision first, but I'm not giving up. You're the one naughty girl always making mistakes like scratching my car, even stealing my ID proof. You feel like you're about to lose it, like everything he's saying is just throwing you into a dark pit. You didn't even know he knew about the ID. Like, how does he know? You thought you got away with that, but now it's all crashing down. You know that? He just nods and you feel your stomach drop. Then why didn't you scold me for that? The words fly out before you can stop them, but seriously, how can he not be pissed? I thought you started cause you wanted to like see me or something. Maybe put it in your hand clutch or even in your room just to see my face. Standing there staring at him, your brain kind of short circuiting. What? That's what he thought? You took his ID just to look at his face? You don't even know how to respond. He stifles his laughter, making you confused. You shake your head quickly, trying to find the words. It's definitely not for that. You really think after all those callings and all the crap you threw at me, I'll steal your ID just to see your face? You don't like me, Wyan? You could easily give him a flat no and move on, but something about the way he is looking at you makes it harder to say. His eyes are intense, waiting for an answer, and for some reason you can't bring yourself to say it. You just stay quiet, staring at him, wondering why you can't find your voice. He notices the silence and his lips curl slightly into an annoying smile. Look, Juan, even before I joined this college, I knew about the marriage thing. I thought you were a nice, innocent girl, but you are the complete opposite. You're naughty, clumsy like a 5-year-old. You don't know what others are talking on your back, how your behavior is affecting others. That's why I always call at you, try to change you. But here we are, look at you sneaking into my room at night, not changed a bit. You quickly look away, feeling your cheeks burn with embarrassment. You can't even look at him right now. Everything he's saying is way too much. But then his next words hit you like a slap in the face, making you gasp. I felt sad when the other professors talked bad about you, said how indisciplined you are. That's why I scolded you. I'm sorry, but you can feel your pulse in your ears and you're barely keeping it together. I don't personally care how naughty you are. I love you. Even though I went to Canada when I was younger, I always remember that tiny wine, the one with just two baby teeth. You are like, what? This is some next level info that you never expected. I don't blame you for not remembering me. That would be cruel. But you always cried when I stepped out of your house after playing with you. After I moved to Canada with my family, your dad contacted us. He said you weren't eating, all pale, and kept saying, cuckoo. Your baby way of saying cook. You don't remember any of this, but hearing it from him feels like you just stare at him completely thrown off. He gives a small sigh before going on. But eventually you got better. You started eating again and everything went back to normal. But I was old enough to remember everything from back then till now. I have always carried you in my heart. You're stuck caught between your childhood and this weird reality where he's basically telling you he has been in love with you for like forever. It's because of that my parents actually decided to put forward this proposal. But for my luck, your dad wanted that too. I came back for you, Ryan. You feel like the floor just dropped out beneath you. You weren't prepared for this kind of open conversation, and honestly, it threw you off completely. For a moment, you even forgot why you came here in the first place. His words were so raw, unexpected that you couldn't even think straight. Noticing your silence, he takes a step back, giving you some space. I know you can't accept all of this right away. I feel so cruel that I never even asked for your consent, thinking no matter what, you were meant to be mine. But after I opened my heart, I realized that was selfish. I don't want to be like that anymore. And if you say no, I'll just go back to being that secret moron, iceberg, or whatever you want to call me. He said it with half a smile, almost like a joke, but there was something in his voice that made you stop. You could hear the subtle hurt beneath his words, even if he tried to mask it with humor. It felt like he was giving you an out, but you could tell it wasn't easy for him as he was making it sound. You didn't expect him to make it so simple, to just lay it all out there, giving you the choice so openly. The fact he was offering you this choice so freely almost made you feel guilty. You didn't expect him to back off so easily or to give you the space to choose. His eyes, though those weren't joking. They were waiting, watching you with an intensity that left you feeling vulnerable. And for once, you didn't know how to respond. You couldn't quite bring yourself to answer just yet. The decision felt impossible, like you were being asked to choose between two worlds you weren't sure you were ready for. His life, his love for you. You swallowed hard trying to clear your head, but everything felt so overwhelming. He wasn't the strict professor, the iceberg. He wasn't even the guy who scolded you or made you feel small. Right now, he was just someone who cared about you in a way you never thought anyone would. For the first time in a while, you realized you weren't sure, and that scared you more than anything. You shifted uncomfortably, trying to find the right words. I honestly don't know what to say. This is all happening so fast. But what? Even though you always get on my nerves and I have been annoyed with you, I never really hated you deep down. I didn't realize it until now, but something's stopping me from just saying no right away. He breathes out visibly relieved like a weight's been lifted. It hits him that despite everything, he hasn't completely pushed you away. And I'm sorry I don't remember anything from our childhood, but you really meant that much to me back then. I think I'm willing to think about it. Just give me some time, okay? Take as much time as you need. It's okay. You nod, but then something crosses your mind and you hesitate. But I heard my parents say Uncle John is going back soon, so they wanted to rush this marriage. He shakes his head, assuring you. Don't worry about that. I'll talk to them. You take all the time you need. You smile at him, feeling a little lighter, but then suddenly feel shy. You look down, unable to meet his gaze for a moment. After a bit, you look up almost in a panic. I want to go. You're scared? What do you mean go? You try to steady your voice, though you feel anything but calm. No, it's too late. Why am I staying here after we have talked it over? He looks at you a little taken aback, then steps a bit closer. Can you just stay just a little longer? Or if you're gonna say no to me, then I won't get to be like this with you again. You open your mouth to say something, but no words came out. There's a knot in your chest, something you can't quite explain. His request isn't just about staying, it's about the space between you, the way he's reaching out. Please, just a little longer. I don't want to lose this moment with you. You hesitate for a moment, but when you really think about it, there's nothing waiting for you back home. Not right now. Maybe it's better to stay to figure this out. Okay. As you stay, something shifts, the tightness in your chest loosens, and before you realize it, the nervousness fades away like a fog lifting. You begin to talk more freely, the words coming easier. You're not just talking to him anymore, you're sharing, really sharing something you haven't allowed yourself to do in a long time, and suddenly it hits you. This guy you thought was a total hard case isn't as tough as you figured. And then your mind starts wandering to your buddy Lucy, who's always good for a laugh. She's a little quirky, you're thinking about him though and how you misjudged him. You thought he was just a tough exterior, but now you're seeing there's more to him than that. That's called layers, man. You're trying not to laugh, but Lucy's goofy face is popping into your head, and it's hard to keep a straight face. But at the same time, you're realizing that people aren't always what they seem.